It's been so long since I was last able to review any laptops, and never mind a gaming laptop, so if I'm honest, I'm kind of been out of my game for quite some time. So this right here is going to be an MSI laptop that is quite affordable, a great value, but it's not for gaming or heavy productivity. That's right, I did actually say that out loud. So let me go ahead and tell you about the MSI 14-inch A10 modern laptop. Let's go ahead and dive right in. This video is sponsored by Viola Wave, the makers of a portable professional microphone sterilizer for just about any microphone you own. I have a bunch of different sizes here in order to suit whichever microphone you need to keep clean and sterile at all times. And undo the bottom, and place your microphone inside, and then right after go ahead and screw it back on, and then press the V button in order for your microphone to be sterilized. They actually have many different models here, and one of my favorites is actually the Rocket model over here because it fits just about any microphone, and especially during these trying times, the Viola Wave professional microphone sterilizers are incredibly useful and makes me feel safer about sharing my microphones with others since I can just go ahead and sterilize it right after. Purchasing links are going to be down in the description, and a very special thanks to the folks over at Viola Wave. Thank you for supporting this channel. The exterior design consists of aluminum. This laptop is very well built and yet so lightweight. It's super thin and still packed with a lot of genuinely useful ports. And here we've actually got two USB ports, a headphone / microphone jack, and a battery indicator that are going to be on the right. On the left, there's going to be a barrel connector for charging, an HDMI port, a USB-C port, and a micro SD card slot. I would say that I have everything that I need here, but the one issue is that I wish that we did have a full-size SD card slot instead of just micro, but it is better than nothing if I'm completely honest. This laptop has one of the most muted designs that I have seen on any MSI laptop to this day. All it has on the top is just a printed MSI logo on top and on the bottom as exhaust vents on the bottom with screws for opening it up if needed. This laptop has a great hinge where it makes space for the vents at the bottom when you open it up by lifting the laptop from the back, which is quite nice. Everything about this laptop in terms of its design screams portability, as this is a very muted design that no one will probably try to mug you for, and it works really nicely for people who don't want that gaming aesthetic that we are so used to seeing on MSI laptops. So this laptop features a 14-inch 1920 by 1080 display with a 60 Hz panel. This is what I would call a serviceable display at best. It's fine for most tasks, but when it comes to color accurate work, it definitely falters with its more muted tones. I wouldn't get this for Photoshop work, or even if you want the colors to pop in your games or media or anything like that, but on the bright side, it does get pretty bright. And it is a matte display, which makes it a lot easier to use outdoors. This is a great outdoor laptop, if I do say so myself, and I think that these are going to be good selling points, but the quality of this display is not really very good in my opinion, and I'm mostly just referring to the colors here. Now let's go ahead and talk about some of the good stuff. The keyboard is honestly really nice in my opinion. It does have somewhat of a different layout in order to accommodate the arrow keys and to give us full-size keys, while being well positioned. There is going to be somewhat of a compromise here for people who do prefer using the right shift, function, and control keys, which have been shrunken and are kind of annoying to use. But I tend to stick to the left side of things anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal, although the function button is only available on the left side on this laptop, and it's so small that you can very easily miss it when typing quickly, which is something that I don't very much appreciate it because I actually use the function keys more often than you might think. You do get good feedback from these keys, as I believe that they feature chiclet style keys, and I do enjoy typing on it quite a lot. There is going to be a backlight to this keyboard, but it only lights up in white, so keep that in mind. No RGB to be seen at all here. Yeah, this is not really for that gaming aesthetic, just as I've been alluding to this entire time. The trackpad is also pretty good on this laptop since it is a glass trackpad and it is going to be a decent size. I like using it for pointing and clicking, which is going to be totally fine, I know, and it's super mundane. I get that, but when it comes to gestures, maybe that's not when things go so well. Like sometimes it takes a second to switch over when dealing with gestures, so that's going to be a downside here, but I do find that this trackpad does do just fine with simpler usage, and I still like it quite a bit. And now, the speakers are pretty quiet and more disappointing than I thought it would be. The speakers, I believe, are barely serviceable and could really use an upgrade in the future, but go ahead and have a listen. The viewfinder is not effective on this camera. At least that's going to be the case for my unit. I do genuinely think that it is only my model that is going through this since I bought it used, but I haven't had a good experience with it at all, and that is the viewfinder. And I do wish that this display could flip all the way around because I would be able to vlog with it. A microphone jack would have also been a very welcome addition here. The webcam is also pretty awful, and the colors on it still look pretty muted. I'm not a fan of the webcam itself, but the placement is very good since it's just on the center of the top bezel, but it still doesn't really look all that good. It works, but it does suck. And since we are going to be discussing the performance in just a bit, I would like to tell you about the specs first and foremost. So this is going to be a 14-inch laptop with a 1920 by 1080p display. It also features a Core i5-10210U CPU, and it's going to have 8 gigs of RAM. UHD graphics, by the way, built in, so it's not going to be dedicated graphics, but only integrated graphics, and it's going to come with 256 gigs of SSD storage. So now with that out of the way, I only tested one game on this machine because this is going to be one that isn't really too demanding, but isn't really too easy to run either. So I went ahead with Genshin Impact for my gaming test here, so this is going to be my game of choice here. So in order to play it, in order to get the highest frame rate while the game still looks good, I had to put the game on the lowest settings possible to be able to play at roughly around 30 frames per second in 1080p. I would say that it is playable, but barely, since it took a lot to get it to run like this on this laptop, and honestly, sometimes the game pauses for a brief second, so there are still issues when gaming. There are still going to be frame skips. But if it can run Genshin like this, then small indie games should run just fine on this machine too. So if that is something that you aren't interested in, then you should be totally fine. Plus, never rule out the option of cloud gaming, like Google Stadia, GeForce Now, xCloud, and things like that, that will allow you to play games while using whatever Wi-Fi connection you currently have access to. So hey, that could still allow you to play AAA games totally fine on a machine like this. On regular use, the battery life can last you up to 11 hours, but I've gotten really closer to maybe around 9 on actual everyday work. Things like typing and browsing the web, but if you're gaming, then it will be significantly reduced to around 2 hours at best from my experience, and depending on the game or whatever editing software you are using. And when it comes to complaints, I think I have some things that I want to discuss here. The display could have been better by default, and I don't really like this particular panel that they used. This was actually the true deal breaker for me, and I really hope that they include better panels in the future. Also, let's go ahead and work a little bit harder on two things. Let's get a better webcam built onto one of these, since this does appear to be more of a student/business laptop, just considering the form factor and the features that they appeared to prioritize versus it actually being a gaming laptop, because it isn't. Also, the speakers are awful, so let's try and get nicer speakers for that too. And lastly, the trackpad could really do better when it comes to gestures too, but I would say that's everything I had to say about this laptop. So in conclusion, the MSI A10 modern laptop is a really nice laptop for its price, as I have seen it for around $700 to $800. I think that this laptop is definitely worth the money, but not at all if you're gaming, unless they are very simple indie games or if you're doing cloud gaming or anything like that, but still need a machine like this to carry around with you. This goes to show just how far dedicated graphics can really go. If you need an ultrabook that's actually reasonably priced and has some essentials like a great keyboard and a nice trackpad, along with that great battery life that I mentioned, then this laptop is definitely going to be for you. But if you wanted a thin and light, cheap gaming or streaming machine, then don't really bother with this one because this simply will not offer you what you need. This laptop will severely underperform for you. But yeah, it's really good for an Ultrabook, so highly recommended. And if you're interested in purchasing this laptop, then I'll be making sure to leave affiliate links down to Amazon in the description. And if you would like to also be able to finance this laptop instead, considering that this is a lot of money to drop all at once on a machine like this, I am going to be leaving a link down to ABUNDA, which is going to allow you to finance this laptop without a need for a credit card whatsoever. So it's just going to offer very simple and easygoing financing that I think that most people are going to be able to handle just fine. And there's also going to be the option for Luster, which is going to be a great tool for helping you find sales. And it even shows you like a hierarchy of what other laptops people choose to get over this one, or maybe if this is actually at the top of that food chain. So this is going to be a super useful tool. Links to all of these are going to be down below. If you use any of these links, you would be helping out the channel quite a bit. So I would appreciate that quite a bit. And I would like to give the tier 3 patrons a very special thanks right now. So those are going to be Joe Moss, Omar, and Saad Al-Wazal. Thank you so much for all of your help because it really does go a very long way. Also now onto the tier 2s coming right up. And this is super important. I would just like to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons, which are going to be listed right here on the screen. Again, a massive thanks to you all for supporting us to help us create the kind of content that we bring to you on a day-to-day basis. And thank you so much for supporting the Tech Summit podcast as well. And just remember that if you would like to be a part of this community too, and then do make sure to check out the links to our Patreon, where you don't only get bonus episodes of our podcast, but you also get automatically entered into one of our monthly giveaways of a tech product that we have reviewed that is of at least $50 in value or higher. So links to that down below. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and on Twitch, where I do stream fairly often. And if you have any questions, I always like to be able to answer them live as well. But feel free to comment any of your questions down below nonetheless. So what laptops would you like me to cover in the future? Genuinely, let me know in the comments. I would love to know, and I'll try my best to see what I can do for you. Now, with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.